Gaza is a total disaster. If you can think of something bad that is happening in the world, it's happening in Gaza or to people from Gaza. The things that I saw there that really stood out or really impacted me and made me realize what's actually going on were a few. Number one was the malnutrition and starvation, which is deliberate. That's perfectly obvious. Even American senators are giving speeches saying that it's deliberate. The second thing was the targeting of children with gunfire. That I was not expecting to see. Actually, I knew how many children had been killed. I knew about the massive killing in general, but I just assumed it was all from bombings. But that doesn't explain children getting shot in the head. And definitely not every day. I mean, literally every day I was there, I saw a child shot in the head. That's not an accident. That's deliberate targeting of children for death. That's murder. That is not something that my government should be supporting. That the United States government should not be funding this. Benjamin Netanyahu famously said, "If the Americans cut off arms, then we'll fight with our fingernails." Okay, good. You go do that. Go enjoy fighting with your fingernails. Leave my bombs and my guns and my money and my prestige and my government and my people out of it. That's what I would say.
I've seen a whole spectrum of injury patterns inflicted by Israel on Palestinian civilians in Gaza. The injury patterns I've seen most consistently are things like crush injuries as a result of Israeli airstrikes on homes. Between 60 to 70% of those injured and those who make it to the hospital are actually children. I can tell you that I have seen injuries that indicate deliberate targeting of children and deliberate targeting of civilians. So I've seen things like gunshot wounds to the abdomen of children, to the chest. I have documented evidence of gunshot wounds to the extremities of babies. Your priority is saving civilian lives and minimizing civilian casualties, then your responsibility as an American citizen is to advocate for an arms embargo against Israel. I think this is a no-brainer for the American political elite, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, Green Party, Libertarian, it does not matter. The right thing to do is to stop arming Israel.
As to the origin of the present Jews in Palestine, he states that those Jews derived from Eastern Europe, and many of the Jews that today live in the reconstituted state of Israel come from Eastern Europe, are not descendants of the Judeans or the lost tribes of Israel, but rather descendants of the Khazars. Who are they? They were a nation most people do not even know of. He writes, the so-called self-styled Jews in Eastern Europe in modern history cannot legitimately point to a single ancient ancestor who ever set even a foot on the soil of Palestine in the era of Bible history. Research also revealed that the so-called or self-styled Jews in Eastern Europe were never Semites, are not Semites now, nor can they ever be regarded as Semites at any future time by any stretch of the imagination. What secret, mysterious power has been able for countless generations to keep the origin and the history of the Khazars and the Khazar kingdom out of the history textbooks? Did you ever learn about it at school? I never learned about it. And out of classroom courses in history throughout the world, the origin and the history of Khazars and the Khazar kingdom are certainly incontestable historical facts. I would say that
every single thing that's happening is a result of Hamas and its choices to drag that region down into a level of suffering that has been excruciating and has caused innumerable deaths. And of course, their reaction on October 7th, when there was a ceasefire and people were living in some relative peace, they decided to break that with an atrocity that was just certainly the most Jews killed in a single framework than during the Holocaust. And we also, I can tell you, we stand by Israel and its needs as it defends itself through this period of time, as we also work with them so that they don't need to defend themselves from the barbarity of an entity that has destroyed lives for generations and continues to. So for everyone who has, so many people who do so many jobs and who've lived different lives, and the children and the babies who didn't have a chance to seek their fortunes or their life dreams because of the barbarity of certain people who think that murder is the only way to move through life.
Is it a war crime?
And
to
I
kill
will tell.
journalists?
I'm certainly. I'm not going to stand here and declare what's a war crime and what isn't. But what we do know is a crime is the mass slaughter of any individuals. Certainly, the targeting of people simply because of who they are.
The Israelis have killed